John Marston is a central character and the main protagonist of Red Dead Redemption and the Undead Nightmare. He's also a major character in Red Dead Redemption 2, a prequel set in 1899, as one of the members of the Van der Linde gang. John Marston was born in 1873, who was born on a boat into New York. While his mother was a prostitute who passed away during John's birth, John's father was blinded in both eyes during a bar fight south of Chicago. His father loved to talk about Scotland and hated the English for what they did to his great-grandparents, although he never met them. In 1881, John's father died. John was only 8 years old at the time and was sent to an orphanage where he lived out his teenage years. Although the circumstances are unclear, he managed to escape the orphanage and fell into the Dutch Van der Linde gang. This is where John met his future wife Abigail. Dutch became a father figure to John, teaching him how to shoot, hunt, gather, read, and how to survive in the world. John Marston was an outlaw and a gunslinger. He ran with Dutch, Bill Williamson, and Javier Escuela, committing robberies, raids, murders, and kidnappings, and other crimes across the frontier. According to Marston, the gang stole and fought for a reason. In stealing from the rich, they in turn gave to the poor. They wanted to elicit change in the people of the West, although this might be his own justification for their actions. In 1906, after being shot in a failed robbery and left to die by his comrades in arms, Marston sought to retire from the outlaw lifestyle. Putting his history behind him, he left his old way of life, along with his wife Abigail, their son Jack, and his deceased daughter. They began a ranch in Preacher's Hope. Between his gang days in 1911, Marston's daughter died from an unknown cause. Despite Marston's apparent reformation, he remains a masterful and experienced gunman, marksman, rider, and hunter. Marston is a rugged survivalist and knows life as a fight for survival. He adheres to the old-fashioned West in a world rapidly experiencing the advancements of modernized American lifestyle. John is a very serious man with very little patience for the people he meets throughout his story. John is very complicated from a moral perspective. He respects women and refuses to commit adultery, yet can be quick to anger and never seems to feel guilty or remorseful about the murders he's committed in both the past and present. However, he does seem to have matured since his criminal days and simply desires to live about the rest of his life with his family. Dutch educated John as a child and had more of a role in his development than he would his biological father. In the end, John is reluctant to kill Dutch despite having numerous chances to do so, displaying the respect he still has for him. Unlike many people of the time, John doesn't hold racist views and even sarcastically mocks those who do so.
Jonah and Eli?
Are they Jews, mister? They sound like Jews.
I don't know. Why?
Why? This whole thing is nothing but a Jewish plot. You do know that, don't you?
I find that highly unlikely, amigo.
Well, I don't like Jews. Or colored folk. Or natives, now that you mention it.
Well, you're a nice, kind-hearted man to meet in a time of trouble.
Kind does not come into it.
Why? What are you talking about?
Why? I bet you like Catholics.
John is also skeptical of new technology and the government as a whole. He once explained that most men can't handle power, and explains to Marshal Johnson the irony of murder being a crime, unless it's ordered by the court of law. He helps Marshal Johnson murder criminals and aids Abraham Reese in leading a revolution where he eventually is described as becoming a tyrant. It seems John has come to the realization that civilization will always be littered with hypocrisy, violence, unfairness, and corruption. Unlike his former gang members, John stops trying to fight and instead chooses a path to live in a peaceful life. 12 years later, the old American West is dying. Encroaching technological advances such as railroads, telegram offices, and stronger law enforcement begins to integrate themselves into the Western society. The federal government creates a Bureau of Investigation to aid in the process and puts Edgar Ross in charge of the Western region. One of the Bureau's major goals is to ride the reign of all the savage gangs running the wild and unchallenged, especially that of Bill Williamson and Dutch Van der Linde. Ross decides to use an ex-associate of Williamson to hunt him down, former outlaw John Marston. By kidnapping John's wife and son, Ross forced him to comply. Thus, John is forced to roam the frontier once again to save his family and earn his right back to the American dream. After leaving the region to get his details on his mission, John arrives by the Blackwater ferry Morningstar and is escorted by Edgar Ross and Archer Fordham through the town of Blackwater to be sent off by train to Armadillo. Once there, John is led by a middle-aged man named Jake to the walls of Fort Mercer.
Mr. Marston, over here! must be John Marston.
Sometimes.
I'm Jake. Your friends from Blackwater hired me to guide you.
They ain't my friends, but pleased to meet you, Jake.
I got the horses saddled up and ready out front.
In confronting his old friend, Marston tries to reason with Williamson and giving up peacefully, but this only results in John being shot in the stomach and left for dead.
I implores you to go back and tell them to send someone just a little bit more impressive next time.
Well?
Oh. Poor John.
After suffering through the night and eventually passing out to the side of the road, Bonnie McFarlane and her ranch hand Amos find John and take him to Nathaniel Johnson's doctor office in Armadillo. After treating his wounds, Bonnie provides John with lodging, food, and drink on condition that he helps around the ranch.
Well, you're alive.
So it would seem.
So, how do you feel?
I don't know the polite word for it.
I do. Stupid is the word we use around here. What were you doing?
I was doing something stupid.
Well, you'll be okay. Once you didn't die, the doctor said you'd be fine. He got the bullets out a couple days ago.
Good.
It cost us $15.
I'm sorry, madam. Should have left me there to die.
John works off his debt of $15 in his life to Bonnie and her father Drew McFarlane by doing various ranch jobs, such as night watching, cattle herding, and horse taming. However, Williamson finds out that John has survived and is staying at the McFarlane ranch, and orders the gang to set fire to the barn.
The doors are blocked! We need to find another way in!
There ain't enough of us!
Mr. Marston, please! See if you can get in through the lock!
John bravely rescues the trapped horses, and Bonnie promises to give John some cattle.
You sure know how to handle yourself. Thanks, Marston.
Yes, John, thanks. You saved the ranch.
If you'll excuse me, I've got chores to attend to. Hey, hold on a second over there.
Sincerely, John. Thank you.
Well, did all I could, Miss McFarlane. Sorry about all the damage. That gang seems to really want you out of here.
Yeah, well, my father fought Indians. I scarcely think we're gonna be frightened by some white trash.
White trash can be pretty frightening.
Well, they don't frighten me.
Good.
John, my family owes you a great debt.
I think you got enough debt. You saved my life. All I ask of you is this. If I get back home and get my farm started back up, you'll sell me some cattle. I prefer doing business with people I know.
Of course, Mr. Marston. It'd be my pleasure.
After helping Marshal Johnson clean up Armadillo and the surrounding countryside of some outlaws, John and the Marshal begin to plan an assault on the fort. To gather a posse, John works with snake oil salesman Nigel West Dickens.
Friends! Hard-working souls of Cholla Springs!
Dysfunctional and cowardly alcoholic Irish.
Where are you? Oh, who do you want? I see you. Get away from me.
Right here.
And psychotic treasure hunter Seth Briars.
Stupid liars. Those stupid chicken shit maps. Making a damn fool of me. A glass eye! It's a glass eye!
However, their plans of assault are temporarily delayed when they save Bonnie McFarlane from some Williamson men. After heroically saving Bonnie, John and his allies carry out a full-blown assault on Fort Mercer, using a Trojan horse strategy by sneaking John and a Gatling gun inside the fort with West Dickens' sales wagon for hiding. West Dickens tells him about what's inside his miracle wagon. John then pops out and kills most of the outlaws while assaulting the fort.
Gentlemen, I bring you wisdom from the east. I have here in this wagon some of the finest goods, the best medicines, and the newest inventions available for you and your families. Exotic trinkets from the far reaches of the earth, elixirs that give vigor and strength. And for you men of physical skill and athletic physique, this miraculous elixir can keep the muscles supple and relax the cords. It loosens the joints and gives a feeling of vigor and freshness to the whole system. Why, some men have reported to me that after drinking it for 1 month, they can chew through steel.
What the hell? It's a trap!
However, after the battle, the crew discovers that Williamson had fled the previous morning and went into hiding in the Mexico province of Nuevo Paso with Javier Escuela.
I was already run off to Mexico yesterday morning.
You'll never get him. Javier Escuela. He's gone to see Javier Escuela. That should make things interesting. Where in Mexico?
How should I know?
Oh! Where in Mexico, you little shit?
Someplace near Chuparosa, I think he said. That's bandit country. Chupa-feckin' Oh, I'll take you there, John. I'm real popular down there.
Iris escorts John south of the border to the Mexico province of Nuevo Paso, where he meets the region's corrupt and evil provincial governor named Colonel Undead and his ruthless subordinate right-hand man, Captain DeSanta.
¡Están pelados, verdad!
No, mi excelencia. Mis hombres y yo estamos trabajando noche y día por su honor.
¿Honor? ¿Qué eres, un muchacho? Jovencito, sin vergüenza. ¿Qué diablos este cabrón?
That's the men who helped us defeat Reyes. The men I spoke to you of. A friend of Mexico.
Hello, sir.
Hola, gringo. So you are the bounty hunter, huh? Have you found your prey yet?
No, sir.
Ah, perhaps you come to hunt me, huh? Your country loves to make trouble in mine.
Perhaps, but it isn't so.
Ah, perhaps I should tie you to a horse and let it drag you around town. Or let the dogs fight you, huh? Then see what you say.
I'd say the same thing. I'm here to bring 2 men to justice. Nothing more.
He is forced to work for them to gain information on Williamson and Escuela. At the same time, John runs into the aging, famed gunslinger Landon Ricketts, who teaches him new gunfighting skills and commits raids on the Mexican army.
Oh, very good. Very good indeed, sir. What a great way to improve border relations. An illiterate farmer crossing the river, coming into their civilization and butchering the local peasants? Thank you very much, sir.
Don't mention it, old man.
You kill peasants, you become a peasant.
I never aspired to be anything more.
A socialist, huh? No wonder you left America.
I'm many things. Most of them bad. But a man of political principles? No.
Marston also aids Abraham Reese and Luisa Fortuna, 2 love revolutionaries working to overthrow Undead and their president General Sanchez, with numerous revolutionary attacks.
Ah, Mr. Marston, I knew you would come.
Thanks for the welcoming committee.
I'm sorry, we cannot be too careful. The world is very dangerous.
Especially when you greet it with a gun.
He attempts to extract any information possible from both Undead and Reese regarding the whereabouts of Williamson and Escuela. Allende and the Mexican law enforcement, however aware of John's loyalties, betray John and has his men attempt to kill him.
¡Levanten esta pizza, mierda! ¡Levántenlo! Marston! Hey! Marston! You have betrayed this land enough.
However, Reese and his rebels arrive just in time to save John before he's executed.
My brother! They will kill you if you don't get your ropes off! Over here, I will free you!
John then sides with Reese and joins the revolution after killing Captain DeSanta and participating in an attack on El Presidio, which leads to the capture and kill of Escuela.
Two old friends reunited. It is a beautiful thing.
Marston and the rebels lead a full-blown attack on Allenday's villa. Unfortunately, Luis is gunned down by Allenday's men.
Welcome to Mexico. My brothers and I are just discussing the future of our country.
Okay, let this man go.
And who are you, gringo?
I'm no one. But unless you want this town to tear you and your boys to shreds, I suggest you let him go.
And you think you could tell me what to do, friend?
Oh, you should listen to him, friend.
Look at that. You want to risk it?
The American is a drunk. If I were you, I would pull that trigger.
Put the gun down, Americano.
Ya, mátalo.
¡Déjenme, hombre!
¡Mierda! ¡Ay, Dios mío!
Santa Maria!
So you want to settle this now, friend? Or you want me to shoot you in the head right now for that poor girl?
John and Reese successfully managed to kill Allende and Williamson, who was seeking shelter and protection from the Mexican army.
I'm coming out! Don't shoot! Here, take Williamson. Just let me live. I will leave the country, I promise.
You always was weak-minded.
Allende is dead! Mexico is mine!
Reese and his rebels take over the villa and plan on marching to Mexico's capital, fighting for the revolution. John heads back to Blackwater in America to meet Edgar Ross again. Though his business with Williamson and Escuela were over, Ross tells him that he still needs to kill Dutch Vanderlyn, former leader of John's old gang, or he will continue to keep his family in captivity.
Mr. Marston, so glad to see you. How was your journey?
Where's my wife and son?
Being well looked after. Well looked after.
I want to see him.
Mr. Ross wants to speak with you. We've had some important developments.
You want me to take out a gun and blow a fucking hole in your head right here? Right now? You want that?
Mr. Marston.
You want that?
Mr. Marston, I ask you to calm down.
Why? Why? I did what you asked. I got you Williamson and Escuela. It's over. Stop playing games with me.
No one's playing games with you, Mr. Marston. But if we were to play some games, there'd be some interesting ones we could play.
Think so?
Like hanging you for murder, or confiscating all of your property, like that little farm of yours, or having you put in an electric chair. Those are the sort of games we could play. But we choose to play a different game. So calm down and play along with us.
Where's my wife?
You know, I forget, but I hear it's very nice this time of year. Mr. Marston, please, I've never insulted your meager intelligence. Do not insult mine. We've done this little deal for your freedom in exchange for all your men from your old gang. You gave us Williamson and Escuela. We still don't have Vanderlyn, but now we know where he is.
Then go and shoot him.
No, sir. I want you to shoot him for me. And then I'll let you be. The last thing I want to do is make martyrs out of all these people. He could be killed by some petty squabble by another lowlife.
We believe Vanderlyn just holed up with a group of renegades near the wreck of the Serendipity riverboat.
Yes. Another group of renegades. Obviously, the first group, your group, has, shall we say, been disbanded?
Disbanded.
Anyway, Mr. Ford and Mr. Marston, shall we go? Oh, Mr. Marston, your wife and son are doing well. Let's both try to ensure things stay that way. Okay?
After you, sir.
John, along with Ross, Fordham, and the other Bureau agents, meet in several fights across West Elizabeth against Dutch and his gang, but he escapes captive or death every time.
Of course.
course. I surrendered, John. You're the master now.
I've been my master since you left me to die.
We all make mistakes, John. I never claimed to be a saint, but equally, I never took you for an errand boy.
Just trying to help my family, Dutch. By making compromises we all have to. Now let her go. It's over.
You want the girl, John? You always were the romantic sort. You know, gentlemen, this man here, oh, he married a whore. Used to ride with us. We all had her. Oh, but he married her. And you know that makes him a better man than us. He's a better man. Have the girl, John.
Easy, Dutch.
She's a parting gift from me.
Marston also works with incompetent Yale Professor Harold McDougal and the Native American informant Nastus in tracking down Dutch. Eventually, John and the Bureau join the U.S. Army in ambushing Dutch's hideout. He warns John that the government will always find a new monster to justify their pay. Rather than dying or being taken captive by John's hand, Dutch chooses to commit suicide, falling from a cliff.
Hello again, John.
Hello, Dutch.
We gotta stop meeting like this.
Sure.
I got a plan, John.
You always got a plan, Dutch.
This is a good one.
I don't doubt it.
We can't always fight nature, John. We can't fight change. Can't fight gravity. We can't fight nothing. My whole life, all I ever did was fight.
Then give up, Dutch.
But I can't give up, neither. I can't fight my own nature. That's a paradox, John. You see?
Then I have to shoot you.
When I'm gone, they'll just find another monster. They have to. Because they have to justify their wages.
That's their business.
Our time has passed, John.
After the raid, John is released by the government and finally reunites with his family at the ranch in Preacher's Hope. He settles down with his wife Abigail and 16-year-old son Jack, along with his old family friend Uncle, and attempts to return to a crime-free life as a farmer and rancher with his family. However, as per Dutch's warning, Ross double-crosses John. He, along with the Bureau and the U.S. Army, launches an attack on the Marston Ranch.
Take a look at that.
Jack, go into the house, lock all the doors. Whatever happens, don't come outside. You hear me? Whatever happens.
Okay.
Come here, son. Whatever happens, keep the doors locked and your mother inside. Promise me, son. Promise me.
Who is it, Pa?
It's just some old friends. Me and Uncle take care of it. Now you go inside and you keep the doors and the windows locked.
I hear you.
Then run!
Yeah, run, boy.
Well, old man, looks like things is about to get settled once and for all.
So it seems.
Uncle is killed during the gunfight while John and his son continue holding off the attack. John tells Abigail and Jack to run while he stays behind in the barn to defend them.
You keep riding and don't look back. And don't be worried about me, you hear? Now get going.
You stay out of trouble, John.
Ain't no trouble, Abigail. Ain't no trouble.
Knowing that the chances of survival for John were slim, Abigail and John seal their love with a passionate kiss before riding off. But in reality, he realizes that the only way to save his family from the government's crosshairs is to lay down his life so they can be free. John sacrifices himself in the last stand against Ross and his men. After exiting the barn calmly and standing before a large firing squad, he draws his pistol and takes out as many men as he can. Still standing, breathing harshly with multiple bullet wounds on his body, he drops his revolver, falls to his knees, and then eventually collapses backwards on the ground. As Ross watches Marston dying, he callously lights a cigar and is clearly satisfied with knowing that the final member of Dutch's gang is dead. Abigail and Jack, upon hearing the ceasefire, return to find John's body in a pool of blood. They bury him atop the hill overlooking the ranch alongside Uncle.
No. No.
It's well, and the wind blows free. And when I die, don't bury me.
This is everything we know about the character of John Marston in the Red Dead Redemption 1. We'll see you again with more information about John Marston after Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out. Thank you for watching.
Aching just to lower aside. It's so far away. It's so far